So if it's America's culture to, hey, you gotta to tip the waiters, that I think people that come to America, like, and you want to live in America with Americans, work with America, eat American food. I think I'm maybe because I tip well, so it's like,
Well,
damn.
let me say this
Right.
too, Q. Let me say this
Like
too.
I mean, I do tip sometimes, but that's just
Cap.
Are
based
you in?
Let
Are
me, let
on
you
me
in
say
food.
this.
America?
Let me
I'm
say
getting
this
But
too.
You say you
I'm
do.
not going to
Hold
tip.
on.
I'm
I'm
You know
not.
what I hate?
confused.
You know what I hate when people say a lot of times, and she hasn't said this, so this isn't applicable to her, but just in general. I hate when people say, "Well, that's not what they do in other countries." That's bullshit. That is 100% bullshit. And I haven't been to a whole lot of countries outside of the United States of America, maybe 6 or 7, right? But like for example, they'll say, "Well, that's not normal in Japanese culture." Bullshit. When I was over there, they very much appreciated, loved, and they didn't ask for it, but they was like, listen, we really thank you and we really appreciate it. And we are very appreciative when people come through and they actually do this. Now I was over in Bucharest, it was the same thing, right? When they do appreciate it, they love it, and they 100% will tell you that yes, it is, something that they very much appreciate and it helps them exponentially, but it doesn't necessarily mean that most people will do it there just because they cheat. That's the honest to God truth. So when people come over here and they say, "Oh no, this is not normal in other countries," that's bullshit. That is 100% bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't go for that shit, and I know that people is lying to me to my face.
Is
And
it?
Well,
not
Wait,
even
hold on.
at
just
the end of
Are
the
you in
day,
America?
not
at the end
even
of the day,
Are
anybody
you
can
in
decide to
America?
do. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Are you?
What'd you
Are
say?
you in America right now? Or are you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They moved my dad here. So I mean, at the end of the day, I
Oh,
hear everything that everyone is saying. It's just not something that I think that I would ever understand. And I mean, I don't think that there's anything rude with that. Like I said, if I feel like I want to tip, I will tip. If I don't feel like I'm not going to tip, I'm not going to do
I
it.
don't hold on. Let me
so
just say this last
I
thing.
have a question. I
Hold
want
on.
to know.
Before you ask your question, I don't see nothing wrong with the fact that she's saying that she don't want to because it's not required, right? However, I don't have any problem when people see people like this coming and they say, you know what, I don't want to wait on them. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a part of this or whatever. And I think that people shouldn't expect to be treated the same as other people that are more generous. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. I agree.
I
I'm
think that
gonna
when they
ask.
see y'all, I'm gonna just say this: when they see y'all coming, and this is the honest to God truth, when they see y'all coming, they be like, "Oh my God, here we go,
Yeah,
here we
it's
go.
gonna be
Here's
so.
another, here's another one." And so,
And I
don't
shouldn't
don't
have to
feel
suffer
don't
bad
feel some
service
type
because
of
of
way.
it.
Don't feel some type of way
True.
about being stereotyped, and I'm sure y'all don't care. But
I've
don't
never been
feel that way about
stereotyped in
being
my life.
stereotyped.
I have so many black friends, black American friends, and they do tip.
Oh,
And sometimes they don't. It's not every time. Sometimes they don't, sometimes they do. Sometimes I tip more than them if I'm feeling extra generous. Sometimes they don't even tip at all. Like it's not like I mean, I don't know. I just it's
Okay,
just
so like
bad.
let's remove the picture
We're
that you
getting
have
away from
painted
the subject too.
about tipping, how you're going about tipping. When you're giving someone a gift, what is
Mhm.
your intention on giving someone a gift? Like, why do you give people gifts?
Um if they ask me for a gift or if I'm just like giving them for I just give them
Like,
money.
what would be a reason why you would give someone a present or a gift?
Oh, maybe to make them feel good or something.
Okay, so let's do that right there. So
Mm.
that's pretty much what tipping would be for these people. It's not saying that, oh, we have to give them their wages, but it's to be generous and give to them because they were doing something nice for us, and it's just returning a nice favor to make someone feel good. We're not going to go out of the restaurant and then go grab them some flowers and then come back into a restaurant and be like, here you go, this is for you. You're just going to give what you have on you. Now people can give people stuff if they do have something on them. Some people do, do that, but money is easily accessible to just hand over to somebody and say, here you go. And people will cry and they'll be like, you don't understand. I had no way to pay my light bill. That will lift up somebody's day. That will change somebody's trajectory in their life just by giving them something that you're not used to, instead of looking at it like, oh, you're doing what the employer should be doing. It's just
Kamaya.
Nah,
Respectfully,
like I said, no,
that was a
I don't
terrible
agree with that.
analogy.
You're supposed to bring my food. If
Let-
anything,
let-
you're supposed to be
That was
tipping me.
terrible. How's that
Because
I
I'm
terrible?
love
supposed to
it.
cook.
Galen, your mic not working, Galen.
You're just bringing the
It's
food
not
from the
working?
kitchen to my
Oh, no, it's
table. I can go do that
working
myself.
now?
I'm not
Okay,
tipping you.
But
let-
the point
Kamaya,
is you're
Kamaya,
doing.
you gotta understand that's her culture. So it's like
No,
we're
I'm not
trying
doing it. Like, I can walk to the kitchen and cook the food
culture.
myself. I don't need to tip you for doing your job. I'm sorry, I'm not doing that.
But
Right,
this
but
is
there will be no
American
reason for
culture.
you
So
to
it's
be.
like
She's not gonna
There's
change.
no reason for you to be at a
I've
restaurant
been here
at
for
that
close
point.
to
If you
15
think
years.
about it that way, you might as well just stay at home and cook. What
I
is
do,
the point
I,
of you
Get
trying to get
I do
takeout.
stay
something
home. I do
conveniently?
stay home. When I go out, I
Because
But
the
just get takeout.
convenience. Because it's convenient.
You're
People,
not
a
gonna
lot of people
convince her.
don't want to do
No,
that.
y'all understand. Y'all not gonna convince her. If that's her
Yeah, you
culture,
have to
let her get the bad service that she might get from
No,
y'all.
I was just
the
trying to
funny
give
thing is,
her
I have
her
never received a bad
perspective.
service. I have literally.
You know why
never
you haven't received bad
in my life.
service
I
is
am
because
very polite. I'm very
no,
nice.
it's not about
Very
that,
cool
Izzy. But
person.
if people knew you weren't gonna tip prior to them serving you or giving you food,
Yeah.
your service wouldn't be good.
You
So
wouldn't. You wouldn't.
that's
You know
the
the funny, like after we pay, I mean, I sit there and
and what?
I don't get any like.
Yeah, because they probably don't come back to the table because you guys already paid and they see that y'all guys don't tip.
They
no, why
Right.
would they have?
So
My whole thing is that you say that it's your culture, but
I can say it's my.
do
I
you
mean,
not see
yeah,
how
yeah,
that
yeah.
might be offensive to somebody who is American? And you're like, if I were to go to Nigeria, and I do have some Nigerian friends, I've been to the weddings. There were certain expectations and traditions that you do, and I honor that culture by doing it. But you're here in this country, and this is a cultural thing. This is something that is cultural that benefits society and contributes to cultural cohesion. And so you're saying that you're not doing it because that's not what you did. But what if I were to come to your country and I say, well, I'm not going to do it because I don't have it? You would think that that was disrespectful. So I'm all just saying is like, have the empathy that you would want for me if I came to your country and, you know, I had to abide by the rules instead of just saying, you know, in America, we do it like this.
Whatever
Well,
reason,
let's
Pink,
take
you think that they care about what we think. They are
Well,
a
I'm just saying
different.
makes it harder because
Pink,
it
Pink.
does erode
we gotta
They
stop
are a
cohesion.
different breed of people. They don't give a fuck.
but
They
listen,
are over. They are here.
Well,
They are
somebody needs
here.
to put me on the planet I belong on. I'm ready to
They
go.
are here.
Who wants it?
Listen. They are here to get the bag and pour back into their own people. They don't
but
give a fuck about what we got going on over here. This
I mean,
is listen. This is the land of opportunity. That's all. When we go to other places, a lot of times we try to assimilate, right? We try to
Yeah.
adjust to the environment. We try to respect other cultures and all of that stuff. They justify why it makes sense for them. That's it. They don't care nothing about us or our
but
culture.
But you know, Anton, I'm in Houston. It's a bunch of Nigerians. So I'm not gonna say that's all Nigerians because I've hung around Nigerians that don't mind spending money, don't mind tipping, don't mind giving extra to whoever. So I don't
No.
even.
You're talking about some of the
Right.
men. You're not talking about women.
Okay, that's a good point because I
You're not
haven't
talking
hung
about
around.
women.
That's a good point. I haven't hung around Nigerian women. Okay, never mind.
They're not
But
tripping
But
off
you
you on.
see, when it comes to
Izzy, I have a
like
question.
like I think Pete feels about to say with real quick the whole with like this playing into the stereotypes. Not saying you're playing into a stereotype. I mean, I don't like the no tipping thing because I feel like it's anyways. But like as far as like with Black women when they're doing the ghetto stuff like let's say Lululemon, let's say just broadcasting and being like ignorant, fighting and all of that, it's kind of a slap in the face. Well, no, not even a slap. It's embarrassing because as a Black woman, I don't fall into that category of women. So like people that you don't know and they just see you and they're just, before you even open your mouth, they may just assume that you're a part of that because there's so many. Like I want to say it's a very small percentage of women that carry themselves as they should, and then there's majority who are angry, who are aggressive, who are masculine, and all this other stuff. So I think that's the biggest gripe. It used to be funny, but it's not funny anymore. Like
I
it's
agree with
am I
you.
struggling?
I think it started out being kind of like a mild ribbing. You know, it's like, oh,
right.
women, you can't live with them, you can't live without
You
them.
can't live
And
with
then it
right.
started to be this thing where again, it's the rewards of doing something edgy, and
Yeah.
then the algorithm also pushing you up and amplifying that. And so
Right.
what it's going to do is it's going to encourage more of that behavior. And so
Yeah.
what we're seeing is this proliferation of bad behavior. But at the same time, what I do see, and I actually, Anton did a thing about this. I did something on black fatigue because I'm tired of seeing it. I am tired of seeing women who
Yes.
look like me, who are going into places and representing me. Because listen, whether we like it or not, we are 6.5% of the population. That is tiny. That's tiny, right?
Right.
So when you
Right.
have a
Yep.
proliferation of algorithms that allow for the worst behaviors of us to be viral content, and those of us who are
Right.
outside picking flowers are invisible and considered
Yeah.
unicorns, it is harder for us. I don't even understand this in
It
the
is.
way that we're so unapologetic about like how it makes it worse for all of us. I don't know. I mean, we're all kind of where we are.
So, question.
Yeah,
So,
for
to tie
sure.
it back to the topic, do you guys see why at times black men, denigrate black women because of how some women are acting out there? Do you?
Yeah. Is my
Yeah.
audio
Yeah.
now?
Yeah, go ahead,
Because
Dylan.
some
Dylan
of
been
them are
waiting.
probably
Let
their
Dylan
sisters.
go first. Hold on, let Dylan go first. She been
Oh,
waiting.
go
Go ahead,
ahead.
Dylan.
Say it again, Q.
So with what were you just talking about, right? We see how women are acting. We see how they're moving. The Lululemons, the ghetto-ness at the brunch and stuff. Do you see why men nowadays are being more vocal about
Mhm.
how these black women are and how they prefer other things? Do you get that now?
Oh yeah, I think that's the appropriate punishment because black women want black men, and if you're
Mm,
not going to have a complimentary attitude or behavior about yourself, you'll be left with the scraps that they end up, complaining about. So I can see,
right.
but I can also see the point where if you're going to date outside of your race because of the disappointment you have with the women in your own race, keep that to yourself, unless directly asked, because it's either you're dating white women because you really like them, not because, you can't find, a quality black woman. So, yeah.
Why does that like offend? If you don't fall into that category, like with the woman that went on talking about when she was in the barber shop and she overheard the conversation. I don't know if y'all saw it about the guy. He met his fiance is a white woman. They're gonna get married, and he was like talking to his barber about why, and he was just saying, it's peaceful. They do the family dinners. They do that. She knows how to carry herself, right? Why,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't fall into the category of the one, because he was talking about women that are in his family that act that way. If it's not pertaining to you, if you don't fall into that category, why are we so upset? And then also, why are you so upset when it is the majority of everything you see? So I don't
Yeah,
see why it's to get so mad. Like,
I
why
think
do
women get
this? Why do
upset because a part of themselves is exposed before they are ready to admit who they are, what they are, and what they represent. One thing I've learned about black women is that we don't like to be the last ones to know something. We don't like to be told something about ourselves that we didn't know was there. We don't like for someone to point out a poor characteristic before we're able to
okay?
admit we have it. So it's like, a hit dog will holler, but I think also because some black women, too many, I like to say too many or so many, because I don't have a metric of measure to decide if it's this much or what. But we do have so
Right.
many or too many black women who are absolutely entitled and believe that black men are their property. And in a sense,
Right.
they're not necessarily wrong. I mean, black men and black women make black babies. That's how you have your black families. That's just the way it works. But I think they don't realize is that you have to release, degenerate behavior, selfish mindset, and, sacrifice a lot of fun and a lot of, tacky things in order to be not just a good partner, but, the better version of yourself. So I think that's why.
Dalen
Real honest.
Dalen is proof. Dalen is proof that women can be retrained.
That's a compliment.
It is a
That's
compliment.
a compliment, Dalen.
Dalen
Yeah.
is proof. Listen, Dalen is hitting us with the rebrand tonight. She said, "You know what? We're gonna do it differently. We're gonna do it differently. I see what Anton is saying, and I'm making adjustments. I'm gonna give you your props. You have been very, very
Yeah.
patient. You've been relaxed. You've been adjusting, and the retrain and the rebrand is here. I like that. I like what we got going on here.
It is a good look. I watched this I watched this all the time before I even came on a panel, and I'm not gonna lie, you used to see I'm be like, oh Lord, like you kind of it's different for what it is tonight. But I will say that your demeanor, the way you're carrying yourself tonight, I agree. Like it looks good on you, girl. It looks good on you.
Yeah, shout out to Percocet. I'm just playing.
You know what? You know what? You had us.
I'm just kidding. No, I mean, I know I talk a lot, y'all, but I realize sometimes, I don't, allow people to get everything off on their chest because I have like that. I know what you're gonna say. Hurry up and say it. So I just want to give people, the room to say what they gotta say, and then I'll say what I have to say. But
anybody else want to say anything before we move to the super chats? AC? No?
I'm so disappointed. I think something's wrong.
Frozen.
No, I believe that Jess has some more to say too, but she just don't want to say it.
Can I say the quiet part out loud?
Go ahead,
Go
Big
ahead. Jess is rethinking that rebrand right now, but we'll get there. We working on her. She a little bit more feisty.
Whatever.
You said it takes the right one, Anton. That's it.
I think that two things can be true at the same time. I think that if Black men in particular can find someone who they love that is non-Black, but still have an opinion about how Black women behave, right? I'm in an interracial relationship. I have an opinion about how I think some Black men behave. I think that both things can be true. I think that just in general, there's a lot of frustration from both the genders. Like the men, I got to be honest here. There was one point where I felt like the concerns that they brought up were kind of illegitimate until I actually heard women open their mouths and say the things that I've heard them say over the last 2-3 years. Like since COVID, it changed my mind. I honestly thought women were still sugar and spice and everything nice. I mean, I know that sounds naive, but I've been horrified. I've been absolutely horrified. So I can see how Black men would have legitimate concerns about Black women and say so, in the same way that I have legitimate concerns about Black men and I'm going to say so. And not all of them, but a certain segment, I have an opinion. And I feel like if I'm in an interracial relationship, that does not make me not Black anymore. So that means that I still have an investment.
Miss Phil, are you in or I believe you said you're engaged. Are you engaged to a non-Black man because of maybe being tired of being disappointed by your brothers?
No, because I didn't date so many of them that I could get to that point.
So You have black men. You have.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Miss Cynthia, I didn't hear if you said you did or you didn't date black men.
I said no because I didn't date enough of them to get to that point.
Well, why not?
Okay.
Because I'm a good observer, and there's certain things that I was just able to identify and see, and I decided to move around it. Once I realized what I was seeing, I moved around it.
So did you believe that there was no man that was of, I guess, African American descent that was quality or that met a certain standard that they should already have, and you felt that your chances would be better with another race?
No, but you know what I wasn't going to do? I was not going to climb every mountain, swim across the seas, the 7 seas, and down the valleys low and the mountains high, and through the closets and through the crawl spaces. I was not going to do it. Yes, Lord, I went to the man who was best for the job, and the one who showed up quickly when I wanted him to show up. That's what happened.
Yes, that's right, Miss Pink
I think that seems to a bigger issue, because Miss Pink Pill, I think you're a very lovely young lady. But and I do that thing where, you know, people are older than me, I still call them young ladies. But I think that it's a shame that if you couldn't, I guess, find a successful relationship with a black man, I'm assuming you would have wanted to, maybe not, I don't know. Maybe that's speaking to, we have too many black men that aren't up to par. So it's not just, you know, we have degenerate women, but we have too many hoodlums. We have too many Negroes and not enough black men who take, you know, things seriously. Because sometimes black women won't admit it, but they absolutely date non-black men because they do believe that they have a better chance of finding someone that has structure, stability, that can articulate themselves, that can have quality conversations, and that can carry themselves good. They think that they have a better chance.
I gave you a compliment, and now you're driving the boat.
I'm not saying that this is something I agree with. I'm saying this is something that I have observed, like that I've seen.
As soon as I gave you a compliment, you decided
you're
to drive
doing
the
the same thing.